of Uganda shillings is lost to corruption. And Madam Speaker, in your communication, you have also hinted on procurement. In that very report, 1 trillion Uganda shillings is lost to procurement fraud alone. In this very house, Madam Speaker, we've had the report from the Minister for Finance, Minister for Works and Transport, all of them crying that this government does not have money. Madam Speaker, a procedural issue, which is a reaction, direct reaction to your communication, is how come in this country we can't find money for our fellow citizens to get clean, safe drinking water, but we get money, 23 trillion lost to corruption, and 1 trillion lost to procurement fraud alone. Madam Speaker, when I go back to Kasese and I travel countrywide, I find a lot of people applauding you. And one of the reasons, Madam Speaker, is your commitment to fight corruption. We will never blame the leadership of this House for having not given us enough space to fight corruption. Wait a minute. The accountability committees of this Parliament are headed by all of us in the opposition. In other words, if there is corruption, we're not going to point in one direction. We're going to point to all of us. Madam Speaker, the reason why I showed up to make this reaction is, what are we going to tell our sons and daughters when they ask us, what did you do? Madam Speaker, it's time, and it's time for you, Madam Speaker, to put your foot down, roll up your sleeves, and get out of the board and tell the people to get ready for the accountability. This Parliament must speak. Madam Speaker, there was, in conclusion, we are going and we're looking forward to exhaustively look at those reports and hold those that are bleeding this country to death. The reason why our mothers and daughters continue to die in a hospital while giving birth.
Honorable, we are going to look at those reports and the recommendations will be presented to this House.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. My focus this afternoon in reaction to your communication was basically that I really appreciate you for putting the fight towards corruption at the forefront. Yes. Much appreciated, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Chief Whip, do you have something to say?
Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleagues, permit me also to put on record to wish you many more years of good health as you celebrate your 49th anniversary in terms of when you were born. Right Honorable Speaker, the fight against corruption is a shared responsibility. That explains why, under our democracy, we have chosen, for instance, in Parliament, to have all the accountability-related committees chaired by the opposition to provide checks and balances. And I believe that the report of the Inspectorate of Government is one of those provided for under the law. If there are reports indicating corruption, I believe the respective accountability committee will have to bring that report through our known procedures and processes, and that report will be tabled in Parliament, debated, and Parliament will take decisions that are corrective in nature. Thank you.
Honorable members, we are going to refer the reports to accountability committees who will scrutinize them and make recommendations to the effect, and will be brought to this House. However, what happens is that it is a responsibility of executive to ensure that a treasury memorandum comes back to the House on the action that you have taken. Because you can make reports in this House and you don't take an action, for us we want you to be accountable to the country. And that's why I agree with my in-law there. Thank you. Yes?
Right Honourable, in the interest of time, allow me to restrict my submission to a letter that has been addressed to you through me, the woman member of Parliament, Kayunga District.
But I've not got the letter.
I'm going to lay after. Right Honourable, I intended to lay after reading it.
Is it a public letter?
Right Honourable, it's public because this matter was presented by myself before this Parliament, and you made a directive. Right Honourable, I want to report what has transpired since that day.
Has the body been brought?
Right Honourable, that's what I'm going to talk about.
No, don't read my letter in public.
Right Honourable, it's just 2 pages. Just 2 pages.
You tell us. Tell us, has the body been brought?
Honourable members, I presented this matter on the floor of Parliament. Allow me just 2 pages.
Just speak about it.
Right Honourable, on the 9th of November, I presented a petition to this House regarding a lady, a widow from Kayunga, who lost her child in Saudi Arabia under unclear circumstances. Right Honourable, when I reported that matter on the floor, you directed the Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development to handle that matter by way of compelling the company that recruited and deployed the deceased by the names of Lydia Aliba to process the repatriation of her remains. Right Honourable, I interacted with the Minister and the Prime Minister as well, as you had directed. Right Honourable, unfortunately, to date, nothing had really happened until yesterday, yesterday but one, when the Minister informed me that they had only paid $1,000 out of the $3,400 that was required to pay for the repatriation expenses. Right Honourable, yesterday the ambassador, our ambassador in Saudi Arabia, informed me that if we don't pay the full amount by today, they will have no choice but to bury this young girl by tomorrow. So this morning I quickly rushed to your office, Right Honourable Speaker, with the mother who was grieving and yelling as a result of that loss. Right Honourable, I wish to report to this House that this message that is entailed here is an appreciation message to you, because colleagues, the Right Honourable Speaker has paid the $3,400. She has paid the expenses. And I wanted to report to this House that, Right Honourable, this letter is coming from the mother. It's an appreciation note for showing this motherly and compassionate gesture towards this noble cause. And Right Honourable, we have sent the money to the ambassador, and we do know that the body will come anytime from now. Right Honorable, allow me to deliver this message to you and allow me to lay it as a matter of national concern and to be on record that this motherly gesture could not be realized in such a short time. But Right Honorable, her plea is that her sister, the sister of the deceased, called Jackie Narule, Right Honorable, she requests that she accompanies the body of her sister back to Uganda because these are the only two daughters this lady had, this widow had. She has lost one, and the one is also in Saudi Arabia, but she's also asking to return accompanying her dead sister's body. Her boss has offered to pay for the travel expenses, and those ones you don't have now to incur. Right Honorable.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable.
Members, this morning at 8 when I reached my office, I got an old woman crying at my door, wailing, and I was wondering where is this person coming from. Honorable Nantaba was seated in the waiting room, and everybody who was there virtually cried. We had to support the old woman. But then the other issue that came up in this house, I don't know whether it is true. Honorable Genda, you may need to help us in this, that every company that is licensed makes a deposit of 100 million shillings. And if it is true, parting with $3,400 out of the money deposited, what is hard with that? 2, we may need to do an in-depth analysis of these companies. As somebody said, we need to open the veil and know who are the owners of these companies. I gave the old woman money from my salary, not from Parliament. From my own salary because of what I saw. Let's help these people. I am not going to allow this debate on this, but we will ask a committee that is handling this thing to do an in-depth analysis of the owners of these companies. We need to open the veils. Yes?
Right Honourable Speaker, first I want to thank you for your kindness. And if anything is going to break your back, it is this kindness and generosity. We have said here in the past, and repeatedly, that before we allow free transfer of labor from this country, we must have a clear policy. We must have bilateral relations with the particular countries where we are sending our children. Today it came to you as Speaker, and because of your profile we are talking about it. It happens to us on a daily basis. We members of Parliament, we always called upon to contribute for the transfer and repatriation of bodies of our children. But away from the financials which we can dispense with, what happens to these lives? One day I was traveling through one of the Arab countries, and as I was coming to Uganda, on the plane we had over 30. You would look at children who are malnourished. Some are pregnant in that condition, in that health state. The alarming levels of poverty here have forced our children into exile, economic exile. Slavery. And some people have called it modern day slavery. There is no modernity in this kind of slavery. Even our slaves in the past would be fed, would be treated, and they remained sober all the time. Today, our children are crying day in, day out. Why is it that government continues to allow people to go into those countries with which we have no state relations? Labor relations the world over are regulated by the state. I want to agree with you and support you unreservedly, Right Honourable Speaker, when you say that our committee responsible should investigate and come out with the report. And I thank you because I trust you're going to give clear terms of reference. But in the meantime, we need to put a stop. Any repatriation, any transfer of labor to a country with which we have no bilateral relations as a government, we have no control, that should stop until we investigate this matter and develop regulations and guidelines that are sufficient. And I really feel sorry for my daughter, the Minister for Gender. I don't know for how long she has now been in that ministry. I would have expected first the policy to have been brought to Parliament, but also a bill specifically to regulate. There is just one clause that talks about migrant workers in the Employment Act.
Information.
I'll take information because I know he has information.
And I'm not going to allow more on this.
I thank you,
because we are waiting for a report. It's going to be on the order paper. We'll discuss this in the what? You can talk about the tourist city. Talk about the tourist city, not about that again.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, I equally wish you a happy birthday. As you know, the people of Fort Portal Tourism City, they love you so much.
Thank you so much.
Madam Speaker, my focus is really we need to create internal opportunities for our young people. And there is no reason whatsoever why we are failing to plan for this young labor force. Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, the leaders, many leaders are promoting. They are promoting the exodus of our people. They are making them not believe in their country. They just think that this country cannot provide them opportunities. Many of us, when we finished university, we went back to the villages. I went to Fort Portal. I started my life there, and I am a successful man because of that. So we can be role models. We should not really kill the spirit and heart of our young people and make them really think that life is out there, and yet here in Uganda, we have all that it takes. And that's why that corruption, which we are talking about, is the cause of all this. And we must fight it to the end. Because if we don't really come together and fight the parasites who are just siphoning money and sending even money out of the country, they are the cause of all this that we are going through. So we really must fight this, and I thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing me to talk about the younger Fort Portal Tourism City that needs to be boosted because they are not giving us money. We need to get money, and then we grow the city.
Honorable members, we are not going to continue discussion on this. First of all, I am equally not happy as a leader of this institution. For some members, I got a report, I got a footage of how some members attacked the ambassador of Saudi Arabia in the parking. The ambassador was attacked in the parking. That is very, very dangerous. It brings in diplomatic issues. Let's desist from that. Let's have some indoor management way of handling things. I've told the committee, open the veil. Let's know who are the owners of these companies. That is the main thing that we should do. That's the main thing we should do. But and maybe on behalf of this parliament, I really want to apologize to the ambassador of Saudi Arabia for the action of my members. We are truly sorry for whatever happened. Matters of national importance.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Okot John Amos. Okay, Lokwang.
Yeah. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, that's a maiden speech. Listen to Lokwang.
I apologize for the tone I've taken,
No,
just because
it's okay.
it is an
Take your
indication
time.
of the issue of the matter I want to raise here. The Karamoja issue I have always talked about has become history. In this particular sense, the insecurity in my constituency and the district at large has become too much that by 6:30 my people are locked inside. On the 28th of October, they killed the principal assistant secretary. 3 days later on, they killed another boy. When I called security, they told me they were acting, but all has gone back to the dogs. The situation is threatening because even we have over 70 armed warriors loitering in the park. And when I have requested the security to intervene, there is nothing. And Kidepo being the third tourist destination in Africa is scaring the tourists. I don't know. Now we are coming to the festive season, what it will look like. It is really so alarming that even the security down there, when I call them, because on the ground, my people call me, they are here. Up to last night.
Honorable Lakwang, your issue has been heard. What is your prayer?
My prayer in this sense is, can the security operatives, can government tell us what they are up to? Because the people are dying. They took the cows and they have come to the human beings. What are we going to be? I want to know from
who took the cows?
The officer. They first took the cows. The cows are over. Now they have come for human beings. What can we do?
We are very sorry for whatever is happening. We sympathize with whatever is happening as a region. Okot has the same. Yes. No, I want Okot to raise this issue because they have the same related.
Thank you, the Right Honourable Speaker. Madam Speaker, on the 12th of November 2022, one call of Pio Bosco, a 34-year-old man, was killed. On that same night, two people, Omole Christopher and Lakidi Bosco, got injured. Last night, the 23rd today, this morning when we woke up, one again called Obwana Charles, a 38-year-old man with 3 children, 2 wives, was shot dead, killed. And they raided over 18 heads of cattle and moved with. The warriors are not very different from the warriors my friends have just raised, because their behaviors and their tactics are the same. We border Karamoja sub-region. There is a vast land between us, which this vast land is an harboring place where these warriors and the bandits are hiding. We got information that this same kind of group around Cotido, they went to the checkpoint, hacked and ran away with the guns for this government. We got informations that the warriors have the liberty to do anything that they want to do. Around Omia Pachua, Paimol, Lapano, and Liarakato, that is the eastern part of Agago, North County, we have got informations from our farmers and the people that when you move in their gardens, you find the footmarks, very many footmarks of the warrior that
Tell us
have
your
advanced
prayers.
into the
You're now
area.
telling us a story.
Madam Speaker, this is an area where we had ever been talking about. My first prayer, which is a question. I want to repeat this same question my brothers have asked. What is the government up to? The army is very thin on the ground. They don't respond as fast as possible. Whenever you bring information, they don't respond. We want them to respond.
What are your prayers?
We want them to take charge now for all the burials that takes place whenever our people are killed. And at this point, I want to thank also David.
By God's grace, we don't want anybody to be killed.
Allow me to say this. Thank you to Honorable General Moses David, who one time when one of our councillors was killed, he stood up. He contributed, he gave 1 million shilling to go to the burial expenses. At this point, any person who have been killed, like this guy who had been killed, let the people responsible take over and they bury the person. And also to take up the step to stop this, because we are now going in the festive season.
Honorable
If they don't come up to stop this, where will our people go? The last point I want to make there, Madam Speaker. Most of these warriors, when they are engaged with properly, they are young boys. And sometimes when they are put out of action, you find the identity card which belongs to a person who's supposed to be at school.
Honorable Minister, for us what we don't want is for you to bury. We want the lives of people. We don't want anybody to be killed. We want to know what are your plans, especially in this festival season. Yes? Here's a procedural matter.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, the issue of security has become something very touchy in this country, Right Honourable Speaker, and almost on a daily basis, members are raising a similar matter. I remember I was on this floor of Parliament, Right Honourable Speaker, and I sought the indulgence of the chair. Wouldn't it be procedurally right for us to request the head of state, like he did in 2017, to come and address Parliament about the security situation from the area of Karamoja to Western Uganda, the whole country, to come and talk to us, all areas, the whole country, to come and talk to us as Parliament and address us, Right Honourable Speaker, the way it was in 2017 when His Excellency the President came and addressed Parliament. The situation at least reduced and things became better. We saw cameras starting to be installed, Right Honourable Speaker. So, Right Honourable Speaker, the procedure matter I wanted to raise, wouldn't it be procedurally right for us for your office to invite the President to come and address Parliament, to handle members' issues?
Honourable members, the President of Uganda appointed the ministers to work under different ministries. But I understand Honorable Silwanyi's issue. He must be missing to see the President. And now that he wants to see the President, maybe that's why he's saying that Muzee should come and sit here, and so that he can be able to see him directly. But for now, let the ministers first work. Yes. Honorable Minister. And honorable members, whoever is raising an issue that has already been raised before is going to be answered under actions taken. We are looking at the more recent things like the one of yesterday, and that's why I told you, include everything that was mentioned, look at the responses, and include the issues that you raised.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, and the honourable members. I take note of the concerns of the honourable member from Napore and honourable court. Indeed, this House knows that there was a spike in the insecurity in Karamoja, to which government responded, and I can report, in spite of those that the situation has tremendously improved. But these are residual challenges that we need to address to ensure that our people are peaceful in that area. I will interact with the two members, and then we'll see how to work out responses to address that problem.
Thank you. Give information to the general and you'll get a feedback. And you need to handle that issue as soon as possible. Yes.
Right Honorable Speaker, first of all, with your permission, I want to thank General Mhozu, not for the 1 million shillings, but for coming up and giving us that response. However, as he got up to address Parliament, your instruction was that he addresses us on what measures they are going to put in place. Because this is not limited to these two members, honorable members. There could be other issues which are not even brought to their attention. I had expected that the minister is going to say, this is what we are doing to ensure it doesn't happen. Of course, it may cut across and go beyond his ministry. Because when Honorable Court was telling us where these people are coming from, there is even a possibility that it is cross-border insurgency of sorts. I had thought that the minister was going to say, in addition to what he has told us, I'm preparing a comprehensive statement in liaison with the sister ministries that, are mandated to handle issues that are beyond Ministry of Internal Affairs. Some of these issues have been handled by UPDF, I understand, which is not his docket as minister, although he's related. So is it not procedurally right that he be guided? I don't want to use the word directed, which I know is the language is used to.
I think what the minister is saying, they had this same issue, they handled it, and what is remaining is a residual matter. It could be residual people, persons who are causing insecurity. So now, what Honorable is asking, what is the plan? How are you going to handle?
Right Honorable Speaker, I totally agree with the Honorable Segona, but I didn't want to preempt our bigger response, which is part of our responses to the resolutions of Parliament, and it includes the question of Karamoja. We shall give you the measures we have taken.
Thank you.
And then address these particular concerns.
Dorothy?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise on a matter of national importance concerning land eviction in Kitagwenda district. Right Honorable Speaker, around 700 households in Nyabuhoko Parish, Buhanda Sub-County, Kitagwenda district have been threatened with eviction by someone called Kabani, the purported owner of that land. Right Honorable Speaker, the affected areas are Kanara Cell, Mitwe Cell, Nyabuhoko Cell, Nyabugando Cell, and the other cells. Right Honorable Speaker, people are spending sleepless nights and they are in fear. They don't have where to go, and yet they have been living on that land for over 100 years. Right
Yes.
Honorable Speaker, my prayer, Right Honorable Speaker, my prayer is to request the relevant ministry to intervene in this matter and resolve this issue of land such that our people are able to stay on this land peacefully. That's my prayer, Right Honorable
you.
Speaker. I beg to submit.
Thank you, Dorothy Majegere.
Right Honorable Speaker,
we all must agree that land issues are becoming a thorn in our throat. Just recently, there is a widow who was being evicted out of her land that was bought out of funeral collections. And the man wanted to take her land at just 5 million. In Namungona here. Honorable Speaker, we need to join hands. The rich want to take free land from our people. And I want to, Right Honorable Speaker, inform you that the issue of land is a collective responsibility. We, the members of parliament, you, colleague members of parliament, we must all put our feet down and say no to this kind of thuggery. So, with that background, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to allay the fears of our sister that now the President made a very good directive. No evictions of any land, even when they have a court order. Because the RDC and the Security Committee, yes.
Honorable Prime Minister,
yes.
That will be contempt of court.
Then they will chase them. But the President...
Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker.
Members, can we have some silence?
And I speak this, I rise up with pain because you know my relationship with the Right Honorable Prime Minister, but I have a deeper relationship with the law. Just on Monday this week, the Prime Minister is on record as having invaded the court in Mengo, attacked a magistrate for a decision made. The Chief Justice has
Honorable
issued...
Segona.
Yes, Right Honorable.
Honorable Segona.
Yes, Madam.
Me, I am not aware of it. First, give me that information before we come and debate in the House.
I'll give you that information.
I don't want to debate in anticipation.
Now, on a point of order.
The issue on the order, I've already ruled that will be contempt of court. We cannot be seen to fight court.
Thank you.
It is a collective responsibility, fine, but we cannot go against the court orders.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, what I was telling you is a directive. Having seen how the number of people are being evicted.
Jonathan, first wait.
Allow me to.
Honorable members.
I have protection from the Speaker.
Honorable members, let's see here. It is. Honorable members, let's listen. Be good listeners.
Thank you,
because I know there is no order that the President will give which is against the law.
So, members, having seen a number of evictions in the country, the President guided that the RDCs should help because a number of people were being evicted. And to some extent, you can see there is some order. To some extent. Now, I wanted to allay the fears of my sister from Kitagwenda that the Minister for Lands, and I know she's a field woman, she's directed to go to Kitagwenda and see how best we can help those people who are facing eviction. Thank you so much.
Honorable Prime Minister, there was an issue that was raised. Please have a seat. The Minister of Land should go to Kitagwenda and report back to the House. But there was an issue that was raised by Anifa where an armed man, armed, is guarding in the same place. Everybody has been chased and he has deployed security to guard. No, in Mukono. In Mukono. So when we are getting reports, Madam Prime Minister, when we are getting action taken, that should be one of the things that should be captured. Yes, procedure matter.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the Land Act Section 92 gives powers to arrest for any attempt or any land eviction for 7 years, or a fine equivalent to $96. Right Honorable Speaker.
Is it dollars or pound?
Pound, yes, I'm sorry.
Counts.
Right Honorable Speaker.
Pounds.
Yes, currency points. Right Honorable Speaker. Isn't it procedurally right to have the minister in charge of lands and the Prime Minister too, to give us, to lay here evidence of such practitioners of land eviction that have ever surfaced the consequences of the law? I beg to submit.
Honorable.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Prime Minister mentioned here that the President has given an order. She is the leader of government business. She represents the President here. Wouldn't it be procedurally correct that that order is laid here because it has become law? This Parliament is the only one. It has not become
law.
No.
We have not passed it.
Yes, that's why we want it here.
It's not law. It's not
that's
law.
what we want it here.
It is not law.
Madam Speaker, I don't intend to debate with you.
We don't have it.
The Prime Minister is here and she made it on record here. And she is affirming it. Let's have it here because it will help us sort this matter.
Honorable Zijan.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise on a matter of national importance. Right Honorable, I pray that I may be granted leave to proceed under Rule 83, Sub-Rule 1E of our rules, that this be taken as my maiden speech.
No. No.
Right Honorable Speaker, I rise on a matter of national importance to bring to the attention of this House the plight of the sugarcane farmers in Uganda. Right Honorable Speaker, it's common knowledge that sugarcane farming is being carried out across several regions of this country, Busoga sub-region being on the forefront, Northern region, Bunyoro sub-region, Buganda, and other regions of the country. For years now, Right Honorable Speaker, sugarcane farmers have writhed in agony and have suffered several challenges which government is yet to address, yet the farmers continue to suffer and wallow in poverty. Right Honorable Speaker, on the 23rd of April 2020, the President assented to the Sugar Act of 2020. This Parliament received it on the 28th of April 2020. Section 3 of the Sugar Act, Right Honorable, establishes the Sugar Board. That Sugar Board, 2 years and a half down the road, is yet to be operationalized. The Sugar Board's functions, among others, is to regulate and supervise the sugar industry in order to answer the challenges this industry faces, including human rights violations pertaining to rights to property of women, where women are the ones who look for food, while the husbands authorize the renting of the entire land that the families have, where they are left with no place to cultivate food. Children's rights are violated by being employed on these farms as well. Right Honorable Speaker, we all know that sugarcane farming is an agricultural enterprise. But the sugarcane farmers of this country are regulated under the Ministry of Trade as opposed to the Ministry of Agriculture. When the Ministry of Agriculture brings programs to emancipate the situation of farmers, the sugarcane farmers are left unattended because they are regulated by a ministry that is not agriculture. Recently, the Minister of Agriculture has been undertaking a drive where large-scale farmers have been empowered and equipped with tractors, Right Honorable Speaker. The President has told this nation that one of the answers to dealing with abject poverty is the mechanization of agriculture. But the sugarcane farmers are not attended to, hence they continue to suffer. And so we wonder why sugarcane farmers are regulated by Ministry of Trade as opposed to Ministry of Agriculture. Right Honorable Speaker, the President met the sugarcane farmers in Jinja, and they cried to him about the 1%.
Yes, there's a procedural matter.
Right Honorable Speaker, 2 weeks back, Honorable Simbwa from Nachifuma brought the same issue about sugar and sugarcane and referred the same matter to the Able Trade Committee. Is it procedure right Honorable Speaker, for the same issue that you ruled about, for Honorable Zijan to go on and speak about it, yet the Able Committee is handling it? That's my point.
Honorable Zijan, what you can do is to take your matters that you're raising into the committee on the issue of why it is in trade instead of agriculture, and then the one of what is in the Act. The issue is about operationalizing, creating awareness of what is in the Act. Because if the Act is there and people are keeping it in their drawers, how does the public get to know what is in the Act? So that is a very good matter you have raised. But what I can request you is to take those issues to the Committee of Tourism.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
We are talking about the Sugar Board being given resources to operate, which isn't. But Right Honorable Speaker, just in 1 minute, if it may please you, Right Honorable, this being your birthday, I know that you're very gracious this afternoon. I was talking about the President's directive in which he directed that the 1% withholding tax which had been levied against sugarcane farmers be returned to them as an intervention, as a government intervention in answering the consequences of COVID, Right Honorable. As we speak, 2.5 years down the road, the farmers are still demanding for this money, and it has not been given to them. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, local farmers...
Honorable Member, I have already given a ruling. Your issue is going to be captured in the at committee level and will be reported. Even those pledges that the President gave will be captured and will be presented to the House.
I am most obliged, Right Honorable Speaker. Happy birthday, by the way, from Busoga.
Yes, Honorable Sarah.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, it is past 3 p.m. And Right Honorable Speaker, we are all wearing orange for a purpose. Because today, Right Honorable Speaker, we want to thank you for launching the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. As Parliament, we must stand in solidarity with the women and girls.
What is your procedure matter?
So the procedure matter, Right Honorable Speaker, that I'm raising is that we suspend matters of national importance and we receive the Minister's statement, because we have guests from our development partners who are here to listen to this Parliament debating and receiving the report on the gender-based violence. Would it not be procedural right Honorable Speaker, that we move on to the next item? Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
I like the way you can make noise. At the end of the day, there is one person to rule. Because when if you make a noise, one person will say, okay, next item.
laying of papers.
Honorable members, I invite the parliamentary commissioner to lay the documents on table. That is the
Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to lay the forensic investigation report into the COVID-19 funds released to the ministries, departments and agencies during the financial years 2019-2020 and 2020-2021, Volume 1. I beg to lay, Right Honourable Speaker.
Please lay pursuant to Rule 1813 of the Rules of Procedure. I refer that to I refer it to a relevant committee.
Item 3, statement by the Minister on commemoration of the 16 days of activism.
No, we also have a report on parliamentary commission. Let's not hide the one of parliamentary commission.
Item 3, statement by Minister on commemoration of 16 days of activism against gender-based violence.
Honorable members, as I communicated before, we also received the audit reports for classified accounts, and that will be referred administratively. There are only 3 members in that committee. The committee will look at the reports and report back to Auditor General. So the reports were all brought and will be handled. Honorable members, there is a statement by the Minister. And as I said before, there are 16 days of activism against the gender-based violence, which is an international campaign that commences on 25th November and ends on 10th December. This commemoration is important for awareness and accountability on the steps taken to eliminate the gender-based violence. As you are aware, gender-based violence remains a disease to our people and is a challenge in the society in which we live in and among the people we represent as a country. So we need to work together to ensure that we eliminate it. This morning I had an interaction with some of the stakeholders from WAPA as part of the activities for commemoration of these 16 days, and we agreed nobody should be left behind, including the boy child. When you talk about gender-based, people think it is all about women. It includes even the boy children. And we need to unite together and fight this virus. This virus of the violence, we need to unite together, and it must start with us, the legislators, because we are the voice of the voiceless outside there. If we speak as leaders, we need to go and create awareness of what is happening. We need to tell people how we can eliminate domestic violence. We also need to legislate on these issues, make laws that prevent or eliminate gender-based violence, and we need to do budgeting. If we have a law, we must budget for it. It's not just a matter of having a law and you don't budget for it. But most importantly, when the law is in place, then you must popularize the law. People should know what is happening, what would happen, what would be the remedy if anything happened. So Honorable Minister, I invite you to make your statement. But before you make your statement, in the public gallery this afternoon we have staff from WOPA and Corporate Planning and Strategy. We have Mrs. Anyoti Salome. You're most welcome. We have Ms. Najuma Lilian. Most welcome. We have Ms. Tusubira Isabella. Welcome. We have Ms. Sagiri Joan. You're welcome. You're being gender insensitive. I have not seen any boy child there. And yet in WOPA we have the boys too. They are here to witness, they are here to listen and witness the proceedings of the House. Still in the public gallery this afternoon, honorable members, still in the public gallery this afternoon we have a delegation from the United Nations based in Kampala. And this includes Ms. Evelyn. Evelyn, you're welcome. She's a UN Women Program Specialist. Then we have Ms. Agrippina, a UN Women Program Specialist. Then we have Ms. Eva. You're most welcome. Thank you for joining us. Still in the public gallery this afternoon, we have a delegation from the Embassy of Netherlands in Kampala. We have Ms. Ruth. Ruth, welcome. Ruth is the first secretary. We have Ms. Judith Ndokorach. She's a police officer. We have Ms. Fatia, executive officer. Fatia. We have Ms. Wisima. You're welcome. They are here on the 16 days of activism. In the Strangers Gallery, this afternoon we have a delegation from Miss Kavi, Uganda. Stand up and we... I want to thank all of you. I want to thank you. Honorable members, okay, you can sit. Honorable members, join me. Honorable members, order. Honorable members, join me in welcoming all the guests that we have this afternoon. I now welcome the Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development to present her statement.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, Honourable Members of Parliament. Honourable Speaker, on behalf of the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development and the women of Uganda, I want to wish you a very best happy birthday, and we are proud of you as the #3 woman in this country. I would like to draw your attention to the statement of business by the Right Honourable Prime Minister and Leader of Government Business on 10th November 2022, where the Ministry of Gender is required to make this statement. Right Honourable Speaker, I also want to thank you for officially today yourself sparing your time and launching this campaign in Parliament, where we shall be lighting Parliament orange, and you lit it upstairs in the lobby. Thank you very much. Right Honorable Speaker, members, the 16 Days of Activism campaign against gender-based violence is a global campaign that was inaugurated in 1991, spearheaded by the Women's Global Leadership Institute, a program at the Rutgers University in New Jersey, USA, which trains women in leadership based on global good and practice. The campaign has since grown globally and is marked with a wide range of activities organized by various stakeholders. This year marks the 31st anniversary of the 16 Days of Activism campaign. In 2008, the UN General Secretary launched another initiative dubbed Unite, End Violence Against Women by 2030. This reinforces the 16 Days of Activism campaign. I don't know whether this man is not gender. Oh. The Honorable Minister was, thank you, Honorable Minister. It was a friendly violence. Right Honorable Speaker, the Unite campaign calls for global action to increase awareness, galvanize advocacy efforts, and share knowledge and innovative measures to address gender-based violence. The government of Uganda, under the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, joined the global campaign in 2008 and has since utilized the campaign annually as an advocacy and mobilization strategy for raising public awareness and gender-based violence-related awareness, especially its implication to national development, influencing behavioral change, securing high-level political and social commitments to end the impunity. The campaign has served as a call to action to ensure that comprehensive services, including protection, medical, legal, and psychosocial services, are available to survivors of gender-based violence. The campaign also contributes to the efforts to deliver on the international, regional, and national commitments on gender equality and women's empowerment, which include the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals. That is SDG 5 on gender equality, also Uganda Vision 2040, and the third National Development Plan 3, which runs between 2020 and 2025, among others. Right Honorable Speaker and members, the 16 Days of Activism campaign commences usually on 25th November, which is the International Day for Elimination of Violence Against Women, with a national launch, which flags off various activities at the national and district levels in line with the national theme. And it ends on 10th December, which is Human Rights Day. So that is why it runs for 16 days. So it starts on the day of elimination of violence against women and ends on Human Rights Day. Since 2008, Uganda has been engaged in this campaign, and the following impacts have been realized. Increased public awareness on gender-based violence as a human right, public health, economic and social issue at the family, community, and national levels. Increased reporting of cases of gender-based violence from 39.5% in 2003 to 70%. So 70% now report gender-based violence. And 43% of these are seeking help to end violence. And this according to UBO's National Survey on Violence Against Women and Girls, a report of 2021. The Ministry of Gender has enhanced dialogue with the key actors, including religious and cultural leaders, since they are custodians of social-cultural norms, to achieve transformative approaches to gender-based violence prevention and response. It has also strengthened local initiatives and networks of stakeholders to address gender-based violence and enhance accountability by government and stakeholders on actions to address gender-based violence. This year's global theme is Unite, Activism to End Violence Against Women and Girls. Uganda has adopted this global theme as the national theme. Activism refers to the deliberate and noticeable actions undertaken by all stakeholders to bring about the much-needed change of eliminating gender-based violence. The emphasis put on ending violence against women emanates from the fact that women and girls are disproportionately affected by gender-based violence, including harmful traditional practices, including child marriage, female genital mutilation, widow inheritance, and disposition. So that's why we put emphasis on women and girls. The Ministry of Gender is coordinating the organization of the national launch and bringing together all stakeholders, including government MDS, development partners, civil society, private sector, religious, traditional cultural institutions, in planning the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence across the country. Right Honorable Speaker, the National Survey on Violence Against Women of 2022, conducted by Uganda Bureau of Statistics, indicates that 95% of respondents had experienced either physical, sexual, or both violence by either partners, non-partners, and this from the age of 15 years. Lifetime prevalence of intimate partner sexual violence was reported at 36%. Physical violence among even partnered women was 45%. There are regional disparities, with Bukedi sub-region registering the highest intimate partner violence, standing at 48% in Bukedi, followed by Acholi sub-region.
Honorable members, she's saying Bukedi, not Bukedea.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. And Bukedi has very many districts, including Tororo district. It's followed by Acholi region at 47%. Yes, you people, Acholi region, 47%. You have intimate violence. Elgon region, 33%. South Buganda is the lowest at 8%. So congratulations, South Buganda. Now, Right Honorable Speaker, they want TESO. I will not talk about TESO. The survey further revealed that 47% of women face economic violence, while sexual violence by non-partners from the age of 15 years stood at 55%, with 14% perpetuated by close relatives. Emotional violence stands at 55%. And according to the Uganda Annual Police Crime Report of 2021, a total of 16,242 cases of gender-based violence and violence against children were reported. 8,065 of those were cases of domestic violence. 6,838 were cases of defilement. 749 were cases of rape. 223 were aggravated domestic violence leading to death. 114 were cases of indecent assault, and 39 were cases of child abduction. That is what is in the Uganda Police Annual Crime Report. The effects of COVID-19 pandemic continue to constrain efforts to curb down gender-based violence, considering the extent to which all forms of violence escalated during that time, but especially teenage pregnancy and child marriages perpetuated by confinement and economic hardship. And Right Honorable Speaker, most of these were also by close relatives. Honorable members, I wish to inform you that the objective of the campaign this year will be to raise awareness on gender-based violence against women and girls, its implications to families, communities, and overall national development. To mobilize all partners and stakeholders, especially men and boys, male engagement, to take action and prevent violence against women and girls, and resist the rollback on women's rights. And Right Honorable Speaker, I think we need to thank Honorable Sarah Pendi, because she did this one very well this morning, and mobilize the spouse who has been with us since morning. We're also to advocate for strategic...
Honorable members, that is violence. Leave the spouse of Honorable Sarah.
Right Honorable Speaker, the third objective is to advocate for strategic actions, including increased long-term, sustainable and flexible funding from government, private sector, and other donor partners to end violence against women and girls. I wish to inform you that this year's national launch of the 16 Days of Activism campaign will be held at Imperial Royal Hotel in Kampala City tomorrow, 24th November 2022. This event will be marked with a limited number of persons due to Ebola. The Ministry of Gender, with the UN Family Development Partners, non-state actors, will later organize a number of activities during these 16 days of activism across the country. Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, it's my humble appeal to all of you to participate in this campaign through the various events being organized at national and district levels, and also in your constituency, as a matter that will be priority for you during this festive season. I thank you. I beg to submit.
Thank you so much, Honorable Betty. Thank you for the statement. And the statement is self-explanatory. Before you come with a clarification, I just want to correct a record that the report that the commissioner laid, the report which was referred to Park Central, was pursuant to Rule 1744. Now there's one more report you didn't lay.
Laying of papers.
We are coming back to whatever you want to say.
Right, Honourable
There is
Speaker.
a very, very important report on investigation on the Parliamentary Commission.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I beg to lay the special audit report on select procurements, expenses, and asset management at the Parliamentary Commission. I beg to lay. This is the year 2022. By the Auditor General, I beg to lay.
That is pursuant to Rule 1813 of the Rules of Procedure. I'm referring that to COSASE. Referred to Committee of COSASE.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I beg your pardon, 2021-2022.
Thank you, 2021-2022. Thank you. And classified is also 2021-2022. That is a classified one also for all the ministries that get classified funds. The reports are laid to the chairperson of the committee. Yes, you had a procedural matter.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, upon the statement, won't it be procedure right? The IT team adds the page. There is a page missing as the Honorable Minister was submitting when you realize from what we have in here. Because from
that
17...
is which page?
The pages were not numbered, but right towards you proceed on, you realize from number 14, you go to the conclusion, which starts with number 16. So some, as she was reading, some part is missing.
At least one thing you have had it, but you can include it in the report, IT people. Honorable members, I will invoke Rule 52.2 and allow a debate for 15 minutes. There is a clarification. And I want the men to do the debate. Yes. Women, you first sit. Let the men first talk. Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I've listened to the Minister, and I think the report she's giving us is extremely important, particularly to people of my age. Right Honorable Speaker, many of the activities that the Minister is talking about, sensitization on how to deal with the violence against women and so on, seems to be at the upper strata of our society. But I think gender-based violence is more prevalent at the rural area. Can I be told today what activity, whereas we are going to these hotels and so on to hear about the same thing which I've heard over and over and over, can I be told what activity is there in Dokolo so that I can be part of it, where that rural woman who is being abused and he doesn't know where to go, what legal framework is there to defend herself or whatever. That is what I want to hear. Because all this sensitization, all this talk is about elites, the people who already know. But the people who are suffering when you talk about gender-based violence are those rural people. So I want that clarification. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Minister and Wapa, why wouldn't we have this launch in Bukedea, where the percentage is very high, other than us having it in a air-conditioned place, or Nakapiripirit, where girls get married when they are 10 years? Why don't we go and have a launch in a village setting and deal with the village women? And also with the men, so that you're able to tell these men what you're doing is wrong, or tell the women what you're doing is wrong, so that they know what we are talking about. But when we go to the boardroom, air-conditioned boardroom, for them they say they are just looking for allowances. So why wouldn't we do? Let's first clarify that. Maybe the clarification will transfer the venue to some village. And maybe just for information, there is no Ebola in Bukedea, and we are ready to host it.
Thank you, Right Honorable. Right Honorable, procedurally we always have a national launch, and all the districts will also have district launch. So unless you want us to choose one district for a national launch.
Yes.
If we are to, but
I am putting a question that we launch the 16 days of activism in a village setting. Those in favor say and the control and the ayes have it. Now I'm starting with the boy children. Emmanuel.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I also want to start by thanking the Minister for the statement, and I want to thank you for driving us into relocating the launch to a rural district. And I want to believe it will be Pakwach. Why am I saying Pakwach? It's because, Right Honorable Speaker, we have organizations that are key in championing such activities.
And sometimes I feel bad that when a minister is making such a statement, they don't recognize such organizations. For instance, in Greater Navy now, we have Plan International, where I worked before coming to Parliament, and we would have such activities in the districts where we are working. We would drive the activities ourselves. And I would be happy when I'm here that as a government we are recognizing such organizations, actually to even motivate them more, and where possible to get them to expand to other districts. Because I know for sure we are talking about the launch in the rural districts. We are talking about activities like Mama has said that should happen in Dokolo, but she will tell you that they don't have funds to support the districts to make sure that such activities are there. And you will find that a lot of times, eventually, it is the MPs that are called upon to make contributions for those district activities to take place. So, what are we going to not contribute for?
Honorable members, so 2 minutes each. Let's avoid talking for long. But as you heard, Bukedwe was being misinterpreted as Bukedea. We should launch this in Budaka, where the rate is so high. Yes, I mean let's. Tororo is part of Bukedi. Honorable member, let's look at how do we plan to eliminate gender-based violence. As solutions, as legislators, let's not go into lamenting. Let's look at the solutions and how we are going to create awareness, how we are going to legislate to that effect, how we are going to budget to that effect. I wish I was you when the speaker is speaking, I sit down. Honorable members, Father Onen, Charles.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the gender-based violence affects every fiber of the society. And whenever it took place, it could leave incurable kind of scars to the society. We need to come with a law and with a policy which can help to actually support the victims of violence. And in most cases, perpetrators of violence are or were once victims of violence. And in most cases, now we have seen the effects of violence in our community, in our society. The rampant cases of child mothers, the rampant cases of suicide. Gulu district, for example, last month, lost a doctor due to domestic violence. A former councillor, decided to stop a medical doctor and he killed him. It also happened in College district and other places. How are we going to help victims of violence? We need psychosocial support to be given to victims of violence. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want also to add my voice to say happy birthday. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Minister for the presentation that she has made here. Right Honorable Speaker, when we talk of women, in this country, women are the ones actually feeding this country. As we talk now, Right Honorable Speaker, because of the emphasis that has been put on women and girl children, our boys' children are going astray. And as we talk now, if you go to the rural setting, Madam Speaker, the responsibilities that men used to take have been relinquished now to women. If you go to rural schools, you will find that women are the ones paying school fees, they are the ones buying uniforms, they are the ones buying books for children to go to school. This one has left men actually not doing what they are supposed to do. My empathy is that, Right Honorable Speaker, when we are putting much empathy onto girl children.
It is okay. You say your order.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Member of Parliament stated very clearly that nowadays women are the one paying school fees, buying uniform. Right Honorable Speaker, the contrary is true in my district, Amoro. Men are paying school fees. The Honorable Member should have been specific by saying some men, but not generalizing all the men in the same bracket. Is the Honorable Member in order to generalize that all men are not performing as far as payment of school fees is concerned? Is he in order?
Honorable Member, we are not talking about men from districts. We are talking about all the men. If you are irresponsible, you are irresponsible.
Thank you very much.
You are leaving responsibility to the women.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the protection. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, women in my area are the ones now doing business. And they are doing the local business of selling dry and fresh cassava, taking them on ordinary bicycle to Lira City. And if you go to Lira, on the main road, you will find only women going to sell cassava. And men, you don't see them around. I'm not saying men are bad, but men should also be brought to their responsibility. They should know what they are supposed to do. I'm also a man. Madam Speaker, whenever we emphasize on girl-child education, I don't want boy child to be left behind. Let's bring these people side by side so that we balance the equation. Thank you very much, Madam.
Martin.
Right Honorable Speaker, allow me join my colleagues in wishing you a happy birthday, and thank you for giving me the opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, a few years ago, when I was still chairman of GULO, with the help of Action Aid, we opened a GBV shelter, a place where victims of violence would be given support, both psychosocial, medical, legal, and so on. But also it turned to be a place where families would access counseling. And it is a fact that many families require counseling services. I would like to know from the Honorable Minister, Right Honorable Speaker, because I'm aware that at some point, Action Aid said they could no longer continue supporting the GBV shelter, which turned to be very useful. It would be good for the Honorable Minister to talk about that and see the possibility of replicating such initiatives so that people have access to such services and victims of violence can be supported. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Hey, Kayondo. I was giving your neighbor, then you.
Thank you.
Honorable Pierre.
I want to thank the Minister for the statement that she has given. Particularly, I want to draw the attention of this House to the issues of sexual violence and in regard to the police cases that have been mentioned. I've just looked at the action report from the Ministry of Justice, and it shows that in the last 1 year, there were 1,036 cases of rape reported, but there were only 55 convictions. That means the conviction rate is only 5%. When you do the mathematics, it means it will take almost 20 years to convict a rape perpetrator. I want to ask the minister that in this engagement, let's also engage the judiciary and justice system. Many of these cases die at the police station itself, and they fail to proceed through the justice system to prosecution. We need to take very strong action, right from the magistrate's course, right up to the highest levels of the judiciary system. Thank you.
Fred Solo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, if I had powers in this country, I would pronounce this day a public holiday. If I was a religious leader, I would call this day a blessed day, because it's a day a lady of charisma was born, and that is none other than you. No wonder, Honorable Speaker, you're changing precedences that issues of gender-based violences are now transferred from air-conditioned rooms to the villages. So why wouldn't I call today a blessed day? Because history is being made, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I'm not going to lament, but issues of gender-based violence and their prevention are so theoretical. They are just talked about. They are left in good English as the statements written here, Honorable Speaker. How I wish they can be interpreted to our local languages so that even my people from Kome can read it and understand. But we come here, we make good presentations, we do good English here, and it remains here, and it remains so theoretical. Honorable Speaker, it's my prayer that issues of gender-based prevention go up to the grassroots, and even my mother in Kome can get to know what is gender-based violence, how can it be fought.
And when you're going to launch it in the rural areas, you should be able to take reusable pads for the girls to show them that this is what you should be able to take some projects that help the women to become economically empowered as you go to those rural areas. Solo and then Batua.
All right, Honorable Speaker, I thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak about this report. It's so absurd that in this generation, the gender-based violence is at a high percentage. It's so bad. But in most cases, right, Honorable Speaker, the girl child is cared about more than the boy child. You find the boy child growing up without being cared about. That's why you find at times when boys have complicated hearts, complicated acts, because every time they empower, they sensitize the girl child. I have a friend, right, Honorable Speaker, in my constituency called Robert Indigida. He was beaten by the woman. And when he went at the police, they just laughed at him. So, I call upon this government to empower the boy child the way they empower the girl child. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, if you remember what I said from the beginning, when you talk about the gender-based violence, you've just heard about what Father Nen said. A lady stabbed a doctor to death. It's not about women alone, it's about the boys also. So they should equally be, because they will become a threat if they are not catered for. They should equally be catered for. They should include them in the projects. And inclusion is very, very important in whatever is being done. Dr. Batua?
Yeah, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I take this opportunity to be a very good one, to have a chance to contribute in this kind of discussion regarding gender violence. Right Honorable Speaker, as one of the legislators who really looks to it that we should end this gender-based violence, it is in my thought that we strategize, starting this year, we approach it from the angle of the traditional and religious practices, such that the gender-based violence attached on the traditional practices and religious practices can be solved. The stakeholders on the other side of the discussion are clearly known. Issues of, female genital mutilation should really come to an end if we can have a fruitful discussion. Issues of forced marriage, issues of child marriage, violence around dowry. Let's first settle that aspect of gender-based violence at least this year, so that next year we now venture in others, but the theme should be around religious and traditional practice-driven gender violence. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll call.
Right Honorable Speaker, allow me to add my voice to others to tell you a happy birthday. But by coincidence, I am also born today.
Happy birthday.
Right Honorable Speaker, when you were introducing the people who came to witness this debate, you happened to introduce Adokoraj, Judith. I worked with her for a long time before joining Parliament on the issue of gender-based violence. Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable, is that why you boxed Domoto?
Right, Honorable Speaker.
That was on a light note.
That is a gender-based violence. So, right Honorable Speaker, the problem of gender-based violence is actually, when you get to the root, it stems from poverty. Because when you look critically, the areas that are ranked to be on the highest list are the areas that are poor in the country. Because of poverty, you will realize that even education becomes a problem. And it renders the girl vulnerable to violence. And therefore, when we want to address the issue of gender-based violence from the root cause of it, you have to address the issue of poverty. Because by the time we were implementing the gender-based violence approaches to make sure we stop it, there are situations where a lady who has been beaten by a man, the man has been arrested, is already in prison, but they fail to feed the family. You realize this is a woman who will come to you to plead that plea. You are talking about the low rate of prosecution. So, when we want to address this issue, approach it from the root cause of the problem. And to me, it is the poverty level. If it is addressed well, the women are placed well, they are educated, actually you will realize the gender-based violence will go down. That's why areas...
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Osman. He's talking about the enforceability of the law in place. People should also be economically empowered. Osman?
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I listened attentively to the Minister, and I want to find out from her statement the program she has with regard to gender-based violence in places of detention, the prisons and the police. Right Honourable Speaker, I have been a political prisoner, and during my time in Luzira, we interacted. These cases are there. The minister has not been to prison, she may not know. But these cases are there. Now, when we are talking about approaches, it is an area that we need to give attention to. Because the gender-based violence is not only outside, but it is inside. Finally, Right Honourable Speaker, why as a parliament we need to take interest in this matter, it's also important that the legislation we make engenders an agenda for gender-based violence. For example, you look at aspects related to witness protection. people out there have information, especially in the families, but then there are no proper witness protection laws, so that if people are to provide information, they will be protected. So as a parliament, what are we going to do about it? I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Komakach, Dennis, Abudala.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker.
Women, it is your day. First listen to this man talk.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, you cannot speak of gender-based violence and you leave out alcohol abuse and substance use. Gender-based violence is only a secondary effect of the primary use of substance and alcohol abuse. I would love to appreciate the Minister for bringing out Acholi sub-region in particular. Right Honourable Speaker, Acholi sub-region, these people are known for being the most loving men and women in the country. But because of use of alcohol and substance that they consume to forget about the poverty in their area, that they consume to forget about the atrocities that they had in their region, the effect of usage of alcohol causes two things, Right Honourable Speaker. If you are a man and you use alcohol, your libido goes low. It's in public domain. If you're a woman and you use alcohol, your libido shoots high. Now, in an event where poverty is encouraged, Right Honourable Speaker, this is...
Honourable members is telling you what happens in Acholi region.
Right Honourable Speaker, it will be so absurd for us to speak against gender-based violence, gender violence when we do not address the issues that really cause this factor into our families. I would request the Minister, before we blame the men and the women, what are you doing? What are we going to do to see that we address the use of alcohol and substance, especially in regions that were traumatized by former LRA rebels? Thank you very much,
Honourable Minister is talking about alcohol. There is a bill in this house on alcohol, regulating the alcohol, and then the issues of maybe trauma. People need to be, like what Honourable Mapendri said, people need to be cancelled. Dennis?
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. I have just been very observant to the statement, and I've just realized that gender-based violence is that it speaks in poor districts, very poor communities, where the standard of living is low and the level of civilization. So I would want to argue the Minister to come up with at least policies special designed for such communities, because once the standard of living is low, the level of civilization, we shall continue experiencing these challenges of GBV. Because from the report, South Buganda is at lowest because of the level of civilization, education, and standard of living. Thank you so much.
You cannot say because I'm poor, so I'm uncivilized. No.
Yes.
The two do not relate.
Withdraw. No, withdraw.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. On this issue of gender-based violence, first of all, honourable colleagues, we must appreciate that it cuts across. Much as the statement of the Honourable Minister was so much emphasizing about women, many men are being battered in their houses, and less attention is given to them. Even when you go to police, much emphasis is given to women. I think we should ensure that there is a desk of the family desk at police, which is always across the police stations, is manned by women and always the priority is given to ladies. It is not bad, but I think we should train them more to ensure that gender-based violence cuts across. If it is a man who has reported, priority given to him, and the issue be addressed accordingly. Otherwise, fellow countrymen, we should carry on the mantle to ensure that the information is saturated across the country, on radios, on TVs, through NGOs, so that men, women, and children can know their rights, where they start, and where they can stop. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And if you're looking for somebody who can be passionate, who can be so welcome, who is so humane and responsible, it is always a woman. And that's why you find it is women manning those positions. And those are your mothers. Those are your mothers, your wives, your aunties, your daughters, and everybody. So what this house is trying to do is to protect your daughters, protect your wives, protect the... So when we talk, because they are the weaker side, you get it, eh? A woman was created from a man's rib. So they have to be protected. Ebualu, Gilbert,
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you and also thank the Minister. Right Honorable Speaker, many people in Uganda today look up to you. And I want to appeal to you that continue with your heart, raise many people. From the time that you donated a Range Rover to a man, I can tell you, Madam Speaker, it has raised the profile.
I did not donate to a man.
Yes.
I gave a gift to my husband.
Thank you very much. Right Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, allow me to withdraw, because I wouldn't want to. Right Honorable Speaker, allow me to withdraw, because I wouldn't want to encourage gender-based violence in Parliament here. I have withdrawn, but I want to thank you from the time.
There is information here. Yes.
But
the Speaker has given you information.
Thank you very much, Honorable Baru, for giving way. The information I want to give is that the Right Honorable Prime Minister has set a precedent. Right Honorable Speaker, and now the women will be giving us Range Rovers as birthday gifts. That's the information I want to give.
Honorable members, honorable members, the issue of my family is not an issue of debate in this house. What I do with my family is to me and my family. Can we talk about gender-based violence?
Right,
because me and my husband, there is no gender-based violence.
Right Honorable Speaker, I will respect that. I want to thank you very much. But it does not deny the fact that since you come from TESO, it has raised the profile of TESO very high. And I want to thank you. I want to come here, Right Honorable Speaker, I did not hear the Minister give us the statistics of TESO and other regions. TESO, Karamoja and other regions, these are the poorest regions in the country. It will be very important that the Minister gives us the statistics, not only for Bukedi, but the whole country, so that we get to understand. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, through you, I would want to appeal to my colleagues, members of Parliament, that we put a special fund specifically for women in this country. especially the rural women. When you go today, Right Honorable Speaker, women are managing families. Women are in circles. Women are in their groups. They are now, men have run away from their duties. They are in the trading centers and then they come home. But finally, Madam Speaker, this matter is not about debate. Let me conclude and then you come. A poor man when he goes back home, he has not eaten. The children have not eaten. The woman has not eaten. I can tell you, even doing his duties in the night, he cannot do. So all this brings about violence. So when we talk about poverty, we need to empower our people so that we are there. Clarification.
Honorable members. Yes, Solomon.
Right Honorable Speaker, I was seeking clarification, first of all, from Honorable Bwalo. You know, in Parliament, our rules bars from debating in parables. So you would have been specific on which specific duties you are referring to. Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable, that is what they call an indoor management rule. You go and discuss it in your bedroom.
Much obliged. Right
Not in the
Speaker.
house here.
Right Honorable Speaker, I want first of all congratulate the women. I want to thank the Honorable Sarah Pendi, the chairperson of WOPA, for a well-coordinated day as we start the 16 days of activism. And I saw Sarah Pendi mobilized the men. I was waiting to see the president of the Uganda People's Congress, also mobilized by the Honorable Minister. And so that, Right Honorable Speaker, they have given me information that he was fully mobilized, and I want to thank you, Honorable Minister, for mobilizing the President of the Uganda People's Congress to be in this thing. Right Honorable Speaker, I think when we...
So what information did you want to give?
Right.
What information?
Right Honorable Speaker, I had already given Honorable Bwalu the information. Now I was making my contribution.
Now, members, as I told you, that I was invoking Rule 52.2, and I was giving 15 minutes. So I was moving to this side now to give the members. Can I see the members? Only the men. Songa. Members, sit. Ministers, you'll come, you'll speak.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to thank the Minister for this important launch, especially when we want to curb gender-based violence. I want to agree with the previous honorable members that if we want to address gender-based violence in our society, we need to address the question of poverty. We need socio-economic empowerment. Personally, I don't want to see anyone bringing a loan request here to stop gender-based violence. Bring a loan request for socio-economic empowerment, which will automatically address gender-based violence. Most of the challenges that are coming in this society is because people don't have survival, something to survive on. So it is very important. Secondly, many women organizations or organizations that are promoting gender-based issues are getting a lot of funds from around the world. But how much, what percentage is going to the rural woman in Zombo? When you look at the figures, they are in trillions. But whatever goes on the ground is so little. And that is one root cause of gender-based violence. Let us avoid corruption so that we can address this up to the grassroots and empower our people. I want to appreciate the chair of WOPA and all the women. Let us work together and see that even in our budget,
priority should be given for socioeconomic empowerment. And that can only come if we put our little money in the budget for income generating activities to raise more revenues to fund some of these initiatives. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, if something has been mentioned, don't repeat on the same thing. We've talked about poverty as one of the causes. Bwalu said when you go home and you have nothing in the pocket, you're not a man enough. Okay? Yes.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, thank you very much for the statement. Dear members, we are here to find solutions to the issues of gender-based violence. And I will straight away go to the issues of ethical values. If we are not going to embrace the issue of ethical values that is being promoted by Honorable Nsaba Buturo, then we may not find any solution to the issues of ethical violence. Secondly, Madam Speaker, can we use the school setup, the role of the head teachers, senior woman teachers, male teachers, the matrons, the prefects, and so on and so forth, for sensitization, mobilization, and education of the masses? The cultural leaders, religious leaders should all be involved. Madam Speaker, there is a suppression, exploitation, and sexual exploitation, discrimination of the women and everybody, at home and in workplaces. Issues of lesbianism, Madam Speaker, bestiality, homosexuality, all should be avoided, because this is a discrimination, this is a really exploitation, because how do you leave a woman and you go for a man instead? So, you leave a woman and you go for a man. That is homosexuality. This is all related to really gender-based violence. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.
Madam Speaker.
There is a clarification from Jonathan.
I will now raise at a procedural matter. Madam Speaker, the statement from the Minister is clear. We are dealing with the launch of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. My understanding of gender-based violence are these actions of violence that you met on a person after first determining the sex of that person. If you look at that person and you find the man, you wouldn't have gone ahead. But because this one is a woman, then you go ahead and do it. Wouldn't it be proceeded right, Madam Speaker, that you guide members, that we restrict ourselves to the theme of the day, and on another opportunity we can come back here and talk about other issues, so that we are relevant to the statement the Minister presented?
The theme of the day is for us to unite to eliminate gender-based violence.
I don't want to mention the specific areas that I felt are outside, but when you listen to debate from members, they are kind of skewed from their core.
Some members are giving a maiden speech.
Okay.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Mama James is my name, from Ajuman East. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to thank the Minister, and I want to thank you for directing us to speak in looking at the view of village or urban, rural areas, because most of us comes from rural area. Right Honourable Speaker, when we were for recess, I got one of unique question when I had a meeting in one of the village. Men are asking me, why women empowerment? Why not men empowerment? So I deliberately answered this in a way that men are born when they're already empowered. But I said, okay, let me also take this to the government and we see what to do. Therefore, Right Honourable Speaker, when we talk about empowerment, when we talk about gender-based violence, these are different things. But what men know is, that empowerment is only for women. And we need to talk along this line. We need the Minister to help us. Whenever there are issues of employment, we need to involve men, either in meetings or in environment trainings, right, Honorable Speaker. They need to understand what is meant by gender-based violence. Because when we had a statement here, even in the report, right, Honorable Speaker, when we read it through, you are saying violence against women and child and men are not mentioned. I read one version here. Right, Honorable Speaker, the second issue is I want to concur with the Honorable
Honorable Adome. Hey, you finish. I'm told it is a maiden speech. Finish.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to concur with Dr. Batoa on the issue of addressing gender-based violence in regards to looking at the aspect of traditional leaders, religious leaders, and community leaders at large. Because if we don't do so, in the previous years, Right Honorable Speaker, if an elder speaks, and then everybody listens. But now looking at the current situation, Right Honorable Speaker, whatever speech, whatever advice you give to any, either women or men, everybody takes its or her own decisions in regards to management and other related issues. Therefore, we want the Ministry of Labor and Gender to help us.
You finish.
We need the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development to help us, Right Honorable Speaker, to empower our elders, to empower our traditional leaders, so that they are able to address these issues of gender-based violence. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Frank, members, as we even speak about the gender-based and how women are being mistreated and that kind of thing, but women also, some women are also big-headed. We need to be submissive.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to thank you for giving me an opportunity to contribute to this sensitive topic.
Honorable members, listen. I was given that advice by a Senga called Ethel, that you need to be submissive, irrespective of your positions.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, it's true, members have mentioned so many issues that directly attribute to the escalation of gender-based violence in this country. But I want to put your attention to the issue of mental health, because given the fact that there is a big challenge in terms of development, most of our areas in the country are still underdeveloped, and this has affected people mentally, causing a lot of stress. So this has affected people mentally. That is why, as government, we need to put a lot of emphasis, because I am 100% sure that some of these cases can either be attributed to mental health. So we should put emphasis on budgeting, especially putting facilities that can address these issues, generally in all regions, especially in hospitals, because we don't have that service. And so let's look at recruiting personnel that can be able to assess and also help in making people cope up with these issues. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. May I also add my voice from the people of Padiere County, Nebi District, to wish you a happy birthday. Madam Speaker, on the 18th of November, we celebrated the 12th anniversary of our King of Lur, the Obimu. And I appreciate our kingdom very much, because for the second time running, the theme has been one: empowering the girl child and ending early pregnancies. And I think actually that plays a very big role in our communities. It brings back to the point whereby traditional and cultural leaders can play a vital role in actually educating our masses and educating the community. Secondly, Madam Speaker, most of the shelters we have in our districts have already lost funding. When most of our girls who are in marriage are actually chased away by their husbands. They cannot go back home because at home the parents also chase them away because
Seminarian.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and happy birthday. May I take this opportunity to thank the Minister for the statement made, and I would like to make my contribution.
Volume.
And I would like to make my contribution on one thing, prioritization. Putting on my economic lens, Madam Speaker, I would like to treat gender-based violence as a development challenge. A challenge that does not only affect productivity of labor by the victim, but also that drives away investment resources towards health, justice, and police services. And what could be the root cause of gender-based violence? People have talked about poverty, but in my view, poverty is one of the ultimate consequences of gender-based violence. Therefore, the root cause of poverty is discriminatory cultural norms, treating the girl child as less than the boy child. And in that regard, what could therefore be the solution? In my view, I think that we need to...
You're off. Next.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My name is Lokoro Albert, Member of Parliament representing Tepedi County in Karamoja sub-region. I join the rest of the members to wish you a happy birthday. Madam Speaker, gender-based violence is real from the various societies we come from. And it's just because of the lack of knowledge on the rights by both men and women. People do not know their rights. Down there in the rural areas, even when people are their rights are violated, they are not able to defend themselves in the courts of law. The other aspect is moral decay. I come from Karamoja, where the elders really preside on matters of society. But as a result of this, the elders are no longer respected.
James. Donald.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, Madam Right Honorable Speaker. I would like to contribute to the Minister's statement. One is that the causes of violence in homes is right from childhood, that when parents are looking after their children, I think sometimes they tend to quarrel openly when the children are seeing. So it is a common norm that causes violence, that when these fellows grow up, if the father is violent, the child will also be violent. Two, I would also like to make a proposal that the Minister of Gender, we have traditional chiefs or leaders in this country, make it a policy that every clan meets every end of year, and those values can be very good to our society, such that they can be making some kind of inventory to your ministry, because the local leaders...
Donald.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, you guided that we really need to have solutions to the problem of gender-based violence. But if I look for solutions, the new solutions, we need to assess the previous efforts. Right Honorable Speaker, the 15 years I was in civil society, we used to have a lot of interaction with government. And whichever program that will come on board, they would say gender mainstreaming, and with a budget line. My question, Right Honorable Speaker, to the Minister and the other members here, have we done an assessment or an evaluation to this gender mainstreaming that we've been doing for the last 15 years to ensure that we see our effort that we've done before we get solutions? Then two, we're talking about girls. Even last week in my district there was a girls summit talking about girls. But we're looking at this problem, and you can... Right Honorable Speaker.
What were you saying?
Right Honorable Speaker, we are talking about a problem of gender-based violence. And we cannot solve this problem minus looking at the root cause. Who is this person bringing the problems to the women? We really need to focus on the men also. As we do the Girls Summit, we also need to do the Boys Summit so that we solve this problem of gender-based violence. A big summit.
Thank you. Impact assessment of the previous years, and also look at the root cause. Yes, Palsa.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and happy birthday. The mischief has been understood, and that is the gender-based violence. The laws have been put in place. I'm coming from the point of view that the problem is the enforcement of the laws, which is lacking. And I just want to say, Right Honorable Speaker, that the Ministry of Gender should come up with a master plan. Let's have special courts to deal with this issue for some time, to enforce the law on gender-based violence so that we deter the candidates who prefer to do this on the society. Even the current way the things are done, the police investigations, they are not sensitive to this. So we need a special approach to this one, that we have special courts that instantly deal.
One thing I said at the beginning, we have made the laws to the effect, but what is lacking is popularizing these laws and enforceability. And because they are not being enforced, these people continue doing whatever they are doing, because nobody has gone punished. Fort Poto.
Thank you, Right Honorable. Right Honorable Speaker. I want us to refer to the best practices, and they come from a culture of Toro. The Batoro, we are men who treasure our women. I wanted actually to know the statistics, because I'm seeing other tribes have been raiding Toro very much, because we produce very good women and people who can... Madam, why I'm emphasizing this point of culture, if you listen to the cultural orientation of our children, they are being emphasized the importance of keeping a home between a man and a woman, and a peaceful home. And if you come to all cultural songs of Toro and our functions, you will find that this is being promoted in every function. And that's why you find among the Baganda, there is less violence, because it is almost similar. So I think we need to carry these practices to other tribes where maybe it is lacking, such that people can understand the importance of having a good wife and good family. And I think this term of gender-based happiness must be emphasized, from gender-based violence to gender-based happiness. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Minister of Gender for the report or the presentation. Madam Speaker, as we discuss about gender-based violence, we can't also leave out talking about attitude change in our youth. Madam Speaker, when you go to a number of training centers in our country and you look at our youth who are out of school, you'll find out that they waste much of their time in discussing about politics. They discuss about World Cup. They discuss about who is powerful in the area. At the end of the day, when they go back home, when they have their wives and children, they have no money. When they reach home and the women happen to ask money which was supposed to leave on the table, that money was not left there. The quarrel will begin from there. People will quarrel. So, Madam Speaker, as we look at... Madam Speaker, as we look at gender-based violence, we must also look at attitude change of our youth. I beg to submit.
Pius.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the biggest cause of violence in our homes is stress. Stress. So if we can have a solution to the challenges which cause stress, for example, like traffic jam in Kampala, by the time you reach home, you don't even want to speak to your wife. Yes. Right Honorable Speaker, another challenge which is causing stress to Ugandans is high fuel prices, high cost of education. Women prefer taking their children to expensive schools, yet men cannot afford. In the end, it causes...
It's a maiden speech. Switch on.
Yes. Another challenge, Right Honorable Speaker, politics. Yes, Ugandans are good at politicking throughout, and it causes violence at home. You find a woman supporting another candidate against the husband's preferred candidate, and it causes what? Violence. So if we can have a solution to the challenges causing stress, then we shall have... I thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Bahati. Honorable Bahati.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to affirm my commitment to the fight against gender violence, because I truly believe that gender violence in any form by anybody is wrong and should be fought. And I want to congratulate the Minister for the statement, and also state that this House has actually passed enough legislation to help the ministry and government to fight against gender. For example, gender violence. For example, we have passed Domestic Violence Act. We have passed Female Genital Mutilation Act, the Children's Act, Trafficking in Humans Act. All these are legislations that we can enforce to fight against gender violence. What then is a missing link? What then is a missing link? And I think a number of members of parliament have made a contribution to this. Poverty as one of them. Moral values in our community. Moral values. And I think as parents, we need really to start from the children, to teach them the right values, to respect almost all genders in our society. So I want to thank you for also the statement that you made, which is biblical, that each one of us in our homes, if we took our marriages the way, especially the Christians, the vows we took, that men should love their women and the women should submit, I think most of the problems would be resolved. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Lob.
Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleagues, I join the rest of my brothers and sisters that have thanked and congratulated the Minister upon the statement. But in the same faith, I want to thank my sister and member, the Honorable Sarah Pendi, who is my chair. For information, I'm a member of WOPA. Right Honorable Speaker, I had prepared a written text, but in concurrence with whatever has been submitted by my honorable colleagues, I will not waste time. But I only want to add by saying the following. One, when you talk about a woman, I don't see the woman. I see my mother, I see my wife, I see my sister, and finally, I see my daughter. The government on your left supports all efforts aimed and intended to raise the standard of living of all citizens, men and women inclusive. We therefore wish to pronounce ourselves by stating that we congratulate all participants in this effort. We observe that gender-based violence cases reported and investigated have increased by 4% from 38,651 to 40,258 cases between the years 2015 to 2016. And we make reference to the Uganda Police's annual crime report of 2020. We also note that 22% of the girls and women aged between 15 to 48 years experienced sexual violence, and 13% of the girls and women. This translates into more than 1 million women exposed to sexual violence every year in Uganda. And this is alarming and catastrophic. I agree with the Honorable David Bahati that we passed numerous legislations in this country, but the implementation is still at its lowest. We call upon and encourage government to enhance the budget in defending the rights of those that have been subjected to gender-based violence, men and women. Right Honorable Speaker, one day in my constituency, an LC1 chairman put up his hand and asked me to propose a law that protects men against women beating them. An LC1 chairperson. And we had just passed the law against domestic violence. And to me, that pointed to lack of information in our population, and therefore calling upon government and all players to invest in awareness. Because people think that when we talk about gender, we are talking about the woman and not everyone. We must recognize the gaps that exist in empowering laws like the Land Act if we are to promote gender equality. We have limited capacity in the Ministry of Gender, Police and Judiciary, and I'm talking about both financial and technical. So we need to invest in awareness and training in those key institutions. We need to structure a percentage of at least 10% of every concerned sector's national budget to cover the program and fight against gender-based violence. We need to increase facilitation of more staff in police, the Ministry of Gender, and the judiciary to handle gender-based issues and promote as a way of promoting and enhancing equality. We need to construct gender-based violence shelters in all districts of Uganda to handle cases of gender violence. We need to preserve the chambers in all courts and all districts of Uganda to handle the increasing cases of gender-based violence. We need to establish rehabilitation, counseling, and psychosocial support centers in every district in Uganda to handle gender-based cases and increase awareness. We need to invest in supporting all efforts by religious and traditional institutions as a way of increasing awareness. We need to reintroduce the Sexual Offences Bill and make provision for stringent and attendant punishments arising out of sexual offenses against not only women but men. We need to revisit our policy on equality. Finally, Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, in joining the colleagues that are celebrating this, I want to propose that for once we encourage our police to allow all of us participate in these activities in our constituencies. My concern and worry is that when we take up, especially the government on your left, when we take up this mantle of organizing functions in our constituencies, we are likely to be met with brute and violence. And yet this is a national concern, and it is the best way that assures us of stabilizing our country. You cannot have a stable country without stable homes. Let me reassure you, Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, of our commitment, at least from this government that I lead for these few days on your left, that we are committed to all efforts, and we are happy to work with government in eliminating all forms of gender-based violence. I want to join the rest, but in my case, once again, to wish you a happy birthday. Away from this microphone, I would say a happy birthday to you, my daughter. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Daddy. Away from the microphone. That is a very enriching message from my left, from the government on my left, the shadow on my left. And I wish we could all borrow a leaf from what all members have said. I love the member who said over drinking. That was Komakech. Why don't we regulate the drinking? We have the laws. Honorable Bahati talked about the laws. We have the laws in a place. Why don't we popularize the laws so that people know the do's and the don'ts? We do budgeting for all these MDAs, the agencies, all these bodies that do the gender-based violence activities. But the money ends up being eaten. Why don't we look at the people who take the money? Why don't we unite as legislators and fight against the gender-based violence? Let's unite. We are the voice of the voiceless. And as it has been said, create awareness. People lack information. Let's create awareness about the laws. Let's create awareness of the implications of the act that people go into. Let's do the legislation, a continuous legislation on the same. Let's provide money as a house for these institutions. And we should also make sure that the law is applied to everybody, not discriminatively. If it is a woman who is on the wrong, she must be punished. If it is a man, then he should be punished too. And of course, we are not living in a static world. Because of the changes that are there, we also need to make sure that our laws are changed from time to time to meet the changing environment which is there. And of course, the issues of counseling is very important. You look at, Komakecha was saying that people from northern Uganda, after the war, had that effect. They need to be counseled. But most importantly, without having a strong woman in WOPA, we wouldn't be debating this. We want to thank you, Sarah, and your team, the executive, and all the WOPA members. Okay, I want to thank the husband. I want to thank your neighbor for ensuring that he gives you the courage to do the work. And you represent the WOPA team very well. And on a sincere note, we are grateful. As Parliament of Uganda, as people of Uganda, and as the WOPA members. But also, we want to thank the Minister for her statement. Minister, that is a very good statement. How we wish We can only make sure that we popularize the laws, create awareness, make sure that the NGOs, the bodies who are handling that, do it in a transparent way. Yes, Sarah, then the Minister.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, for this
Sarah,
opportunity.
in 1 minute.
Yes, I'll just use 1 minute, Right Honourable Speaker, to thank the colleagues for standing in solidarity on this matter. And I want to request colleagues, let us not stop at talking, because the problem that we have in this country is dealing with this challenge, is funding. The law enforcement agencies, while police has created a family unit, they lack funding to support those involved in the investigations. But also we need shelters, safe houses for these victims of the gender-based violence. And we need funding to the Ministry of Gender. They have a program. These women who have faced this violence can actually be skilled so that they can move out and be self-reliant. But without funding, that cannot be achieved. So I want to thank colleagues, and I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. No, not safe house.
Yes,
we need homes for the victims of violence, especially when they are in court.
Yes.
They need shelters where they can be, because they cannot stay in the community when they are being harassed. So I want to thank colleagues, and I hope that during the budgeting process, we shall prioritize this matter and provide funding in a phased manner. We can start in a few regions where violence is highest, like the East.
And maybe we also need pro bono services.
Yes, thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. We are actually the sponsors of the legal aid bill in the 10th Parliament. So I want to thank Honourable Awogon, and I hope that this House can also pass that legal aid bill, because it will go a long way in helping us, helping the poor to get the free legal services when they are in court. So thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, and thank you, colleagues. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you, Sarah.
The Speaker has thanked all of you,
Sarah.
and thanked everybody.
Can I have chairperson gender?
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. A blessed birthday, Right Honourable Speaker. And I want to take this opportunity to thank and congratulate the Minister upon the very first statement on the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, coming from the recommendations that I made here in the report on gender-based violence from the Committee on Gender, Labour and Social Development, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there are two things that I didn't hear very well from the colleagues. One of them is the parenting. If we are going to continue in this country to have only fathers and mothers who are not parents, we are going to keep with the problem. Madam Speaker, we visited the remand homes in this country. In Kampiringisa, 194 remandees, only 4 were girls. In Fort Portal, we met 75 remandees and only Speaker. In Masindi, 55 remandees, no girl. And these are the boys who are expected to bring things to our families to marry our children. Madam Speaker, if we don't take care of these boys and we think because they don't get pregnant, therefore they cannot be spoiled, we are not going to have responsible men leading homes. And therefore this government must invest now very seriously if we have to emancipate women in the boys. Secondly, Madam Speaker.
Actually, Chairperson, not that you did not hear well, it was not mentioned on the issue of parenting. And when you concentrate on the girl child, you're going to have irresponsible sons-in-laws.
Yes, Madam Speaker, that's my fear. But Madam Speaker, I know that with awareness, if we can invest in awareness throughout this country as a mandate of the Ministry of Gender, I think now that we enter the budget process, we need to give enough appropriation for awareness. And the justice centers, Madam Speaker, are far from the clients. Even when people encounter these violences in homes, for people to start trekking, I want to give an example of Karamoja, in Napak, if people are going to find the Justice Center in Imbale, and someone has to carry witnesses every time, and the court procedure is so long, I think, Madam Speaker, let us talk about getting the justice centers nearer to the people. Madam Speaker, I want to thank everybody here, honorable members. I want to congratulate you upon the 16 days. We are just beginning them.
Honorable Minister.
I would like to implore that the members, all of us, find some kind of celebration in our constituencies, that we all now take it down so that everyone is made aware of this celebration.
Let's find some kind of activity.
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank all the members who have contributed, because it has been a united voice, and importantly, a united voice from the male parliamentarians. I want to thank you, our male colleagues, and the Speaker for choosing the male colleagues that have made a commitment on top of the female parliamentarians, and the leader of opposition acting for all the support that he has assured this House in respect to implementation, support for financing, issues around GBV and all that. Leader of opposition, I want to thank you. On a matter which is cross-cutting like this, that you have brought us together on the key issues that need to be done. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to just say all the issues that have been either proposed or issues that have been requested, for example, issues around issues that requires the ministry to give substantive response. For example, Honorable Basalira asked issues of detention, prisons, what are the action plan for the ministry? It's elaborate. I pledge that I will bring a comprehensive statement on the actions being taken, including the financing, the programming, and the fund which is now a grant from the World Bank called GROW, which is growth and opportunity for productivity, financing for women, so that we are able to know the program we have for addressing poverty and socioeconomic aspect of women and the community. Issues of action, gender-based violence shelters, we have about 17. We will bring the list, statistics nationally we will bring, and all the other issues that have been requested. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to submit that we will bring all the detailed program here.
Have you finished?
Yes, I beg to request that the details I come back later. Thank you, Right Honorable.
Thank you so much, honorable members, and you've heard from the minister her commitment that she's going to come back with action plans that are being what members have requested, and we want actions taken on what has been raised, and we will expect a report from you to that effect. And as already been said, let's not do the lamentation, let's do the real work. Let's create awareness, let's make sure we do good parenting, let's ensure that the laws that are in place are popularized, let's ensure that we be the example of the rest. And on that note, therefore, I want to thank the team that was up and they've left. I want to thank them for being here and thank all the members. Tomorrow we will look at the action taken reports I hope you've read. As it is in the book where you find that some issues were not captured, please get the issues and we will seek for answers or responses on the floor. Tomorrow we have one item on the order paper. Actually, we shall pay tribute and then have the action taken action taken by government, and the whole week we shall have 1 hour of actions taken. Every day we shall have that item on the order paper. I now adjourn the House to tomorrow.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
My name is Charles Peter Maiga, the Katikiro of Buganda. It's very important to groom and nurture our children into responsible citizens. But that doesn't mean that we've got to beat them up, got to hurt them. I think we need to groom our children into people who have self-worth. That will enable us to have citizens who will be responsible and who will also look at violence with disdain.
Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
The Ministry of Health informs the public that there are confirmed cases of Ebola in Uganda. We, however, urge the public not to panic as the situation is being managed. The Ministry of Health further reminds the public to be on the lookout for any persons who may show signs and symptoms of Ebola. These include high body temperature, abdominal pains, diarrhea, vomiting, bleeding from the body openings such as the nose, eyes, and mouth. Please inform the nearest health worker immediately if you see anyone with these signs and symptoms. To prevent Ebola from spreading further, please take the following preventive measures: regular washing of hands with water and soap, avoid handshaking and hugging, avoiding any contact with any suspected Ebola patients. Any person who dies suddenly should not be buried but reported to the nearest health worker or LC1 immediately. For further information, please call the Ministry of Health toll-free number on 0800-100-066 or send a free SMS to your report on 8500. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from UNICEF and World Health Organization.
Get connected today with the My Airtel 4G smartphone, the most affordable smartphone in Uganda. You get to enjoy free 1 GB for 1 whole year. My Airtel 4G smartphone, your best value for money. Visit the nearest Airtel outlet today and get one at only 250,000 Uganda shillings. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome to the Living Room Stadium. It's the FIFA World Cup. The match is about to start. Food and drink ready. There's no space left for anyone. Come on, get your lucky chair. Take your usual spot. Even the puppy has one. It's preparation time. You can feel the tension in the air. And do you have everything you need to believe?
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Ladies and gentlemen, Livingston brings you Bera the Genesis concert on 26th November 2022 at Kololo Airstrip. Come we celebrate gospel music as we take you through the Genesis, featuring ordinary tickets at 20,000 shillings, VIP tickets at 50,000 shillings, and a table of 10 at 2 million shillings. And the first 1,000 people who will buy a ticket via MTN mobile money will get a discount of 5,000 shillings on each. Don't forget, people with disabilities enter for free. Livingston Live in Bera the Genesis concert is brought to you by Plascon, Fenot, Coca-Cola, Maestro Studios, UNCC, Tress Gospel, Design Consult, Diesel Money, and MTN.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
This month, we journey through time at the National Museum. This month, we meet one of the most decorated footballers of all time. We find out how Qatar's football pitches are meticulously maintained. And we'll see how the sky may not be the limit for Qatar in enjoying international success.
Making the very first fight against the Blue.
40 African countries launched their Road to Qatar 2022 campaign 600 days after the draw split them into 10 groups of 4 in Cairo in January 2020. Tunisia, who've appeared in 5 FIFA World Cups, took a commanding position over their Group B rivals with this crucial 2-0 away win in Zambia. Danish-born 20-year-old midfielder Anis Slimani secured 3 crucial away points for the North African side. In one of the most intriguing clashes of the first 2 rounds of play, Côte d'Ivoire overcame arch-rivals Cameroon. Sébastien Haller's first half brace just before the half-hour mark secured the hosts' 2-1 triumph in Abidjan. Egyptian substitute Mustafa Mohamed scored a late equaliser in Franceville to salvage a point for the Pharaohs in Gabon, but not their head coach's job. Egyptian Hossam El Badri was replaced by former Portugal and Iran coach Carlos Queiroz. '10 FIFA World Cup host South Africa edged Ghana at the 2010 final venue in Johannesburg with this 83rd minute winner by their 21-year-old forward Bongo Kule Hlonwane. Liverpool's Sadio Mane opened Senegal's Group H account with this 56th minute goal against Togo. This 2-0 home win, combined with a 3-1 triumph over Congo in Brazzaville, placed them top of their 4-team group with a 100% record. Morocco had the most eventful start to their 2022 campaign. They first defeated Sudan 2-0 in their capital city of Rabat. Their away tie in Guinea was subsequently postponed following political unrest in Conakry. 73 goals in 39 matches, and more to come in the next 40 games in October, when Africa will conclude 2/3 of their Round 2 qualification. Cafu, synonymous with the FIFA World Cup. The Brazilian right-back is the most internationally capped Brazilian player of all time. He represented his nation in 4 FIFA World Cups between 1994 and 2006, and is the only player in history to have appeared in 3 consecutive World Cup finals, winning the 1994 and 2002 editions of the tournament. Cafu, the conquering captain who lifted the World Cup trophy in 2002. With such credentials, it was only natural that he was made an ambassador for the Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy, the organisation delivering the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022. Cafu has immersed himself in the role and has been present in Qatar to soak up the local atmosphere of an Emir Cup final during the inauguration of a brand new World Cup stadium.
Qatar has been preparing for years for this World Cup, and now we're 90% ready to host a World Cup. And I think Qatar aren't far off making this 100%. But we're really prepared, and we're ready to welcome the whole world to Qatar.
Cafu's life story is the stuff of football legend. He was raised in a favela in Sao Paulo. And despite being rejected by the youth squads of Corinthians, Palmeiras, Santos, Atlético Mineiro and Portuguesa, at 18 he finally made the youth team of hometown club Sao Paulo. At 24, Cafu was still on the bench, waiting for his chance to play in an official FIFA match. When the moment came, it wasn't just any match. It was the FIFA World Cup final in 1994 against Italy at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California, in front of 94,000 fans.
I always sought out this opportunity. I trained hard to make this chance come my way. And I played in the World Cup final against Italy. When Pereira looked back at me and said, "Cafu, are you ready to play?" And I was like, "Me, I'm more than ready." I couldn't wait to play, and I had to be prepared.
Having clinched their 4th FIFA World Cup title, Cafu and co reached the final again in 1998, facing hosts France. Led by an impressive Zinedine Zidane, France dethroned Brazil and were crowned FIFA World Cup champions for the first time. 4 years later, Brazil were back on top, ready to play their 3rd FIFA World Cup final in a row, a feat only matched by Germany. In Yokohama, Cafu, Ronaldo and company now had the chance to reach the pinnacle of world football for the 5th time.
We came into it like another World Cup final. We made 3 World Cup finals in a row. What's more, there's no other country that's done this. And for us, this was a matter of pride. And me, who had the chance to play in the other 2, winning one and losing the other, I said to the younger players, "You've got no idea how good it feels to win. So just get yourself in the World Cup winning mindset. Because when you get home and your son or your dad hugs you and says, 'Congratulations, son,' there's no better feeling."
Even while on top of the world, his home, his roots and his family were still very close to his heart.
It was a fantastic moment. I wrote 100% Giardimereni on the shirt. For Giardimereni, it's the neighbourhood where I was born, where I grew up, spent my whole childhood, where I have my foundation. Show them that even coming from a humble neighbourhood with no perspective, we can produce big athletes and great men.
Within a year of lifting the most coveted prize in world football, Cafu was back where it all started, in Sao Paulo's Giardimereni neighbourhood, eager to give his heart and soul to the next generation.
I spent my whole childhood here at Giardimereni. There are a lot of good people here, a lot of cultured people, smart people, but they don't have opportunities. If we don't give an opportunity to these children, they'll turn into delinquents. I know I won't help everybody. I know I won't solve everyone's problem at Giardimereni. But even if I help one, and he tells me in the future, look, thank you, Cafu Foundation. Because of you, I am someone today.
As Cafu remained an inspiration and leader to his country and community off the pitch, his talent and love for the game saw him return to the biggest footballing stage of all for a fourth and last time in 2006.
You can imagine, I felt proud for what I'd done. If you said to me, who's the only player to play in 3 World Cup finals in a row? I'd have to feel sad. 148 appearances for Brazil, 19 in World Cups. So the overall track record counts more than one defeat in the World Cup.
Cafu is now looking forward to the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022, this time from the sidelines. The preparations for creating the best ever playing and training pitches for Qatar 2022 have been very detailed. FIFA have left no stone unturned, and Doha played host to a specialist workshop that brought the world's leading experts in the turf industry together to ensure that everything remains on track for the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. Alan Ferguson is the Senior Pitch Management Manager for FIFA and knows all too well the value of such workshops.
The requirements we now insist on going into what we call our Tier 1 tournaments, so the Men's World Cup, the Women's World Cup and the Club World Cup, involve fairly complex technologies such as vacuum and ventilation systems, hybrid pitch stitching, the use of artificial grow lights, so significantly raises the bar on the skill set required from the grounds teams who use this technology and deploy it into the daily maintenance.
And the same care and attention goes into preparing and maintaining the training pitches as well as the stadium surfaces.
Yeah, the training sites sometimes get underestimated in the tournaments because everybody's focusing on the stadiums. That's